Thank you for being here. Welcome to the Agoura Hills City Council meeting. Please silence all cell phones. Let me do that myself, since mine will be the one that's going to ring. Thank you for your patience. And all other electronic devices. If you wish to speak or submit a written comment, please complete a comment card for each item and submit to the city clerk prior to the public comment portion of the item. I will now call this meeting to order, the regular meeting of the Agoura Hills City Council and the Agoura Hills Improvement Authority of Wednesday, February 14th, 2024, 6 p.m. I'm going to do something a little different tonight, and I've asked Jessica Forte, our Director of Public Works, to lead us in the flag salute, because we want to thank you as a city for you and your team working 24/7 during the hard rains, and we really appreciate it. So we'd like you to lead us tonight.
Thank you. If everyone would please stand and place your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance
Again, thank you, Jessica, and please thank your team again for us. You did a lot for us, and the whole city appreciates it. I went for a bike ride this weekend, and the bike lanes were clear. Thank you. Okay, so we are now going to have a roll call. Madam Clerk.
Good evening. Councilmember Anstead?
Here.
Councilmember Lopez?
here.
Councilmember Wolf? Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester?
Here.
Mayor Buckley Weber?
Here.
Mayor Buckley Weber, you have a quorum with Councilmember Wolf absent.
Thank you. We had no closed session tonight, so there's no report. And now I need a council member to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda. And a second, please state your names for the record.
This is Council Member Chris Anstead. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
And Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester seconds.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you take a roll call vote?
Councilmember Anstead?
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester?
Aye.
Mayor Buckley Weber?
Aye.
Mayor Buckley Weber, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you very much. We now have presentations, and we have a proclamation to celebrate Arbor Day. And I believe Jessica Forte is going to do that for us. Thank you. In 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees. This holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and now Arbor Day is observed throughout the nation and the world. Trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. Trees are also a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. Trees in our city increase property tax values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and wherever they are planted, trees are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. The maintenance and preservation of our urban forest will benefit generations of Agoura Hills residents. In celebration of the city's commitment to preserving urban forest for their future, students and administrators from Sumac Elementary School will join the city in planting a tree in Sumac Park on Arbor Day. Jessica, on behalf of the entire City Council, it's with great pleasure that I present this proclamation to you proclaiming April 26, 2024 as Arbor Day in the city of Agoura Hills, and urge all citizens to celebrate and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Thank you, Jessica. And I just want to say, I just read this word for word, but I literally could have written it because I believe in everything. So whatever staff member wrote it, thank you so much. It's from my heart as well. Jessica, would you like to say a few words?
Sure, thank you. I think that Agoura Hill's commitment to planting natives and our urban forest here, it like long precedes this proclamation. This is something we'll do annually from here on out as part of our commitment to becoming a Tree City USA. We are working towards each of the elements of that application, including an ordinance that'll come before the council soon. So this proclamation really reflects the commitment of the city council. It's my honor to accept it, but I look forward to delivering you your Tree City USA application and getting that goal this year. So,
Thank you so much. Great job. We really appreciate it. Do any of my fellow council members want to say anything about Arbor Day and trees? Councilmember Lopez?
Sure, thank you. I want to thank you, Mayor, and also our staff for bringing this to light and as an annual celebration to continue. I love that you're sitting right in front of our logo that has the big leaf in the background. So I think Ms. Forte's point that this precedes the proclamation is really heartfelt. It's something that makes Agoura Hill so special. So thank you for doing that. I also want to say that in so many different religions, there are versions of Arbor Day. So I also just wanted to note on your very spiritual connection with the trees, because it's true. It's really meaningful to us in a really innate sense. So thank you for bringing it to us.
So thank you all. So now moving on, does anyone else have any comments? Okay.
No, I would just second what you both have said.
Thank
So
you,
thank
Mayor
you.
Pro Tem. So now we're going to move on to intergovernmental special purpose committee and departmental reports. And I'm going to start with that it's Black History Month. And we're doing something new this year at City Hall. The city will be celebrating various heritage months throughout the year with displays commemorating the achievements of national and local individuals for their roles in history. As you know, February is Black History Month, which is an annual celebration of achievements by African Americans and a time for recognizing their central role in U.S. history. In the lobby of the City Council chambers, there's a display of banners commemorating Black History Month. The banners celebrate several iconic individuals. The City of Agoura Hills is honored to join the celebration of Black History Month, and I want to share with you an individual of our local history, John Ballard. John Ballard settled in Los Angeles in 1859 and became active in civic affairs as one of the founding members of the city's first African Methodist Episcopal Church, aka the AME Church. In 1880, Ballard picked up his family and moved to the Santa Monica Mountains. He purchased 160 acres of land where the family raised livestock and crops. Despite his accomplishments, Ballard was mistreated by other pioneers due to the color of his skin. Thieves unsuccessfully tried to chase Ballard from his home. His cabin was set on fire twice, but he was not easily deterred. He rebuilt his home both times. Years later, one of his children, Alice Ballard, became a homesteader herself, an unusual feat for any woman, much less a woman of color. She claimed an adjacent lot which included a 2,031-foot peak that stands in the mountains just south of the city of Agoura Hills. Due to the color of John and Alice's skin, the peak became known as N-word Head Mountain and actually appeared on early maps that way. In 2010, due to the work of local activists and the National Park Service, the mountain was renamed to Ballard Mountain in honor of John Ballard. The Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area website page has a recently produced 14-minute documentary entitled To Right a Wrong, The Story of Ballard Mountain. David Szymanski, our recently and now former superintendent of the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area, said, quote, Ballard Mountain is the untold story of an African American family's experiences in the Santa Monica Mountains. It is important because it reminds us of the unrecognized people who passed our cities and parks down to us. Please visit the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area's website and watch this interesting and very local documentary. You are likely to recognize some of the people in it. I also want to encourage our residents to visit City Hall's display, which can be seen in the windows of the council chambers. We look forward to bringing future exhibits of other important heritage months during 2024. Thank you. We are now going to move on to the Clean Power Alliance update. Councilmember Lopez.
Thank you. Wanted to give this very exciting update about the Clean Power Alliance Power Ready program and let you know that our board of directors approved an agreement for 11 sites that will get backup power systems installed, and I'm really happy to announce that Agoura Hills is one of those 11 sites. Clean Power Alliance is a very community-driven organization. We're not out for the maximum profits like a lot of the independently owned utility operators, and so giving back to the communities is one of the big tenets of ours. And so what this is we're going to have this backup system installed at our rec center. It's going to be at other cities and libraries, fire stations, city halls. Ours is going to be up at the rec center, and it really will give us some important resiliency for wildfires, PSPS events, heat waves, anything where we need a good amount of backup power. We will have that at our rec center off the grid. And of course, it's a great partnership between us and the other cities and Clean Power Alliance because it's just that much off the grid. We get to sell back with Clean Power Alliance some of that backup energy during the time of use, the really high cost times of using energy, and it's just super exciting. So I wanted to share with you all that we are one of those exciting 11 cities that we're going to have another round for some of the other cities that didn't get in on this first round. And I really want to end by thanking staff for working with Clean Power Alliance because it's not easy to tweak this for every city's needs and every city's infrastructure and things like that. So Clean Power Alliance worked with the cities one-on-one to find the right space, to find where it would work. And so I really want to thank staff for working with Clean Power Alliance on that because it's going to be a great win-win.
Thank you, Councilmember Lopez, and I want to thank you for all the hard work you've done with CPA. I know that we've been talking about a backup system for years, and when we first started hearing the words microgrids, and I remember going to our state senator and said, what exactly does a microgrid look like? And he said, well, that's a good question. So I proceeded on a course, and I'm thrilled that we're going to have one. It gives us that ability to have power when everything else is shut down, and our residents would be able to go up to the event center if you needed to charge a phone. I mean, hopefully we don't need it. It's more likely that we will at some point. So
I do want to, I'm sorry I didn't mention that it is no cost to the city. So that's
even better.
An important factor that I meant to put in there. So
Thank
yeah,
you
it's
so
win-win.
much. Okay, so now we will move on to, are there any reports from staff? Nothing? How about reports from any other city council? Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to let you know that I sat in on the Wildlife Mitigation Alignment webinar this week. They were talking about, the mitigating factors that are going to be coming down the pike to us. And what they were stressing is that each individual city is going to be responsible for what they called the parcel level mitigation. And by that, they mean each individual house. So we're going to have to spend time guiding and educating our community about the 0 to 5 zone. So what they're saying is going forward, what they're going to be looking for is no vegetation in the first 5 feet of your home. And I did ask them, I said, well, in our city, we have houses close together, so we can't, because then the next zone is out 30 feet out. And I said, if you go 30 feet out, that means we lose everything, all vegetation and trees. And they did say, no, it's the 0 to 5 that we're going to focus on, and then going out from there just to clear dead brush and dead vegetation. And then they're going to have rules about how high your tree branches have to be from the ground and the spread of them so that they're not forming a sort of continuous canopy, which could, what they call a fire ladder, so it can spread from one to one, to the other. But they are getting very serious about it, and I'm sure a lot of our residents, including me, we were denied the renewal of our, homeowners insurance because they said we had too many trees on our property. So going forward, your insurance companies are going to be telling you this has to be done. The fire regulations are going to be coming down. So we just need to be aware this is coming and, help our residents as much as we can, guide them into this whole new regulation and really way of life. Because they're saying, no community is going to be safe if only a few houses have done the mitigation and the others haven't. Because then it's the embers that are flying through the air that are going to start all the conflagrations. And so we each individually have to, support our neighbors by protecting our homes. So it was very interesting, and I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot more about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report, and thank you for attending the webinar. But just so we're clear, those are not the standards as we sit here today, and that is not the law.
Well, they are already the fire department standards. They just haven't started enforcing them yet. But the insurance companies are already enforcing them. I mean, hence, we were turned down until we had that 0 to 5 clearance.
Right, but I don't think that those standards, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think those standards have actually come down or are enforceable.
Well, they told
yet.
us they had.
And
they
who put on the webinar?
It was
LA County Fire?
It was Cal Fire. Then we had some from the insurance companies, and we had some from the state, Lara's office, and the mountains recreation that they were talking to about, about the defensible space. So it's sort of a weird thing. It sort of is there now in writing, but they're not enforcing it yet. But going forward, the insurance companies are going to be the first ones to enforce it because they'll just say, well, we're not going to give you insurance if you don't do these things. And then ultimately, I'm assuming it'll be the fire department, just how they have for brush clearance now, and you get fined if you don't, follow through. But they haven't talked about that yet.
Okay.
But they warned us it's coming.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that it's coming, but I just wouldn't want somebody to go hack down all of their bushes.
No, well,
from
I think
0 to 5
I think
at this
as homeowners insurance gets renewed, we're all going to be sent a letter, and I had to send in photographs, with measurements of how far my branches were from my chimney, and all sorts of things. So it's coming.
Okay. Well, thank you for that update. Any other reports? Oh, yes.
I would like to add that LA County Fire Department does apply some of those regulations. When we submit plans to LA County Fire, they've been advising us not to plant any oak trees on the property at all if the property is a certain area, and they've been advising us to not plant anything within 5 feet of the buildings. And so I think that they're applying the standard now for new development, but you're correct. We haven't received any information to apply it to existing development.
Thank you for that, Ms. Thomas. I'm just wondering, oak trees were supposed to be a really good fire block. So we may have to take a look at that and see what they're talking about. Okay, moving on. Any other comments? Okay, public comments. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items not listed on the agenda that are under the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. If you have something to distribute to the City Council, please hand it to our City Clerk and do not approach the dais. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons addressing the City Council shall not engage in disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. I will now defer to the City Clerk.
Thank you. We did receive one written public comment that was distributed to the City Council from Dakuni Samad. And we do have 2 public speakers here this evening.
Dick Billingsley, followed by Nazmi Katami. Mr. Billingsley?
I have some packets to hand out, if I may.
Go ahead and give them to her. Give them to our city clerk, and she'll pass them around to us. Thank you. Hang on one second. We need you, because there's people watching, so let's get you in front of the mic. And let me tell you, you have 3 minutes to speak. When the red light appears on the podium, that's when you need to stop. Please adjust the microphone and begin your comments now. But bring the mic into you close enough so that everybody can hear you.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Anyway, I have a situation. I live on Forest Cove Lane, if you're familiar with that. We've been original owners, so I've been there over 30 years. The turn going from Hempstead to Thousand Oaks Boulevard is a 90-degree turn, and it's a blind intersection, basically. We have children that are crossing the street all the time. We have young adults. We have teenagers driving. There is no white line in the middle of the road. So in my 30-some-odd years that I've been there, I've witnessed probably anywhere from 150 to 200 incidents where someone almost got hit crossing the street, or cars colliding because of the lack of common sense. There's 3 pages, and the page 1 shows you what the escape routes are, or people dropping kids off or leaving Yerba Buena and Lindero Middle School. Lake Lindero has a signal, Reyes Adobe has a signal, Middle Crest does not, and Forest Cove does. It's a mess anytime going to school or leaving the school, so a lot of people use Hempstead and Forest Cove to escape. The speed limit is 25, and I can tell you there's 90% of the people do not go 25 miles an hour. They're going anywhere from 35 to 45 miles per hour, and we've had a number of people almost hit. The next page basically shows you what the street looks like when there's cars parked there. Since there is no line and going on a blind curve, you're coming around, and it minimizes the amount of space for cars to go crossing each other. Because of that, the people that work in the park have their big trucks parked on the side, so they're a lot wider than the normal car. So cars coming one way or the other, and someone is crossing the street, a car has to slam the brakes on or swerve, and without a white line there, they're going on the opposite side of the road. And it's happened many times. So what I'm asking is if I can take this to wherever it may be and get your support, thinking it might be a good idea just to put a solid white line in so people could stay on their side of the road. I think it could solve a lot of the problems.
Thank you very much. Our Director of Public Works is here, Jessica, and so she will reach out to you or talk to you about that further.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for your time.
Coming in.
Our next speaker is Nazmi Katami.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Well, I came here last year complaining about the Morrison Park because...
Can I ask you to bring the microphone a little closer to you? Just
Yes.
so we can hear you, because we're recording it for people.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
That's better. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm adjacent to the Morrison Park. It's actually my backyard, so I'm there 5-6 times a day. And things were really bad, but this year, things are really good, and the park looks much better. I want to thank all of you, and I want to thank Amy. She always responds to my email immediately. It's just, she's very responsive. It's good. I just don't want to complain always, but when something is good is happening, it's good to let you know that it is happening. And it's much better. Things are much better at the park over there. The only observation I have is there is a landscape company. It's called Western Vinco. I don't know if they do any work for the city, but every single day they have between 10 and 12, they have between 1 and 3 big cars. They don't, it's not just a regular truck. They are There's things behind it. And they make it difficult for babysitter or moms or dad that bringing the kids to the park. Every single day, there's not, except Sunday, which I love, so I don't have to see their car. I love Sundays because I don't have to get out and look at their trucks. I mean, I don't know what they're doing there. And they're not doing work because I see it. I'm right in the park. I'm there 5 times, 6 times a day. Maybe if it's somebody could make a note or call them or tell them that, people are complaining about that, maybe that will do good. Maybe they will, at least if it's one car, but they have 2 and 3 of them, which makes it really hard to get in the park sometimes. Yeah, probably. I think you know who they are. Because I don't know if we do so, if the city has worked with them, or they must have because they are in the area. And another observation, the only 2 companies I see it's every day is either Vinco or Brightview. Maybe it's a good idea to give a smaller company some business in landscaping, because these people are huge. And normally when you are smaller, you pay more attention, you are more, you could do a better job and pay more attention. And we should divide the business. I don't know how the city of Agoura Hills does distribute the business, but we have to give other people more opportunity. I don't own a landscaping company. I'm retired. I don't own any. So I'm not here just for landscape, but just to give other people opportunities. It's either Brightview or Vinco. I'm tired of their cars. They're everywhere. In the street, if there is one branch, they decided they put cones, they park the big car, and the big one branch. But it's
Okay, if we can ask you just to wrap up. Go ahead and just.
yeah, okay, yeah. So these are the only concerns. Other than that, I love Agoura Hills. I won't go anywhere else, no matter what happens.
Thank you.
It's probably one of the best cities in California. It should be on the list.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm also going to ask Ms. Forte to take down those nations. We know Brightview. I'm not quite sure if I know the other one, and she can give them a call.
Yes, just to be conscientious about, because there are kids there, and they bring the car and they just park it. Believe me, if somebody goes there, they will see between 10 and 12. There's always between 1 and 3 cars.
We'll go ahead and check that out for you.
Thank you very much.
For coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. We have no further speaker cards.
Okay, then we'll move on to the consent calendar. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items on our consent calendar. I'll now defer to the city clerk.
No written public comments have been received and no speaker cards have been submitted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any questions from the City Council on the consent calendar? If nobody wants to pull any of them, then I will now call for a motion and a second to adopt the consent calendar.
This is Deborah Klein Lopez. I'll move to adopt the consent calendar.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester seconds.
Thank you, and I'll defer to the City Clerk for a roll call.
Councilmember Anstead?
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester?
Aye.
Mayor Buckley Weber?
Aye.
Mayor Buckley Weber, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you. We'll now move on to a council public hearing. Our next item is to conduct a public hearing to consider the adoption of resolution number 24-2056, a resolution making a finding of significant public benefit in connection with the safe and issuance of Agoura Hills Improvement Authority lease revenue bonds, Series 2024A, and Agoura Hills Improvement Authority lease revenue refunding bonds, Series 2024B, approving as to form and authorizing the execution and delivery of certain documents in connection with the sale and issuance of said 2024 bonds, and authorizing certain other matters relating thereto. I will now open the public hearing and defer to the Director of Finance, Diego Ibanez. Am I pronouncing that somewhat close? Thank you for the staff presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Buckley Weber and City Council. Tonight, staff will be recommending that the City Council conduct a public hearing and adopt Resolution Number 24-2056, approving the issuance of lease revenue bond Series 2024A to help finance the Ladyface Greenway project, and Series 2024B to refund the authority's $2.9 million in outstanding Series 2013 lease revenue bonds, which pertain to the Community and Rec Center. Also approve related legal documents, bond official statement, and other actions. The Ladyface Greenway project has an overall estimated cost of $17.6 million. Grant funds from the state, Measure R and Measure M, will be used to reimburse the city in funding this project. The city will use the $12 million in bond funds together with grant funds to finance the entire project. Once all of the grant funds come in, we expect to pay off the bonds in early 2029. The debt structure is expected to avoid any unplanned uses of the city's general fund reserves, allowing what is currently held to earn interest. If approved, the city will incur approximately $12 million of new debt, not including the refunding, that will need to be amended into the debt schedule of the adopted fiscal year 2023-2024 and fiscal year 2024 and 2025 city budgets. The first payment is $121,265. That the expected interest rate for the bonds is under 4%. Overall, the city received and maintained the AAA city credit rating, and the bonds are rated AA+ from Standard & Poor's. The city will receive $12 million in bond monies. The bonds are due to be sold next week and close later in March. The staff reports indicate the overall cost to the city in issuing the bonds to be $311,382, but as we near the completion of this deal, the final cost looks to be $288,000. That's $23,000 less. And based on the refunding, the city is expecting to gross savings of $934,854. That concludes staff's presentation, and staff and the financing team are available to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. The public hearing is open, and I will now, before we move to public comment, does any council member have any questions of staff? Councilmember Anstead?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I think one quick question, I just wanted to make sure the main reason why we're doing this is just to cover the cost until the grants are received that we're expecting to get, correct?
That is correct.
Most inexpensive way to do that?
That is correct.
That's my question. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilmember Lopez?
Sorry, just one clarification again. And so when all is said and done, when the bonds are paid back and the grants are complete, our out-of-pocket hit, if you will, to the general fund is about $300,000? Is that what we're saying?
That is the estimated financing cost that is currently in setting up the deal. In terms of the overall interest cost to the city, I believe. And I believe that is the correct cost, yes.
It is about $300,000 out of our out of our general fund.
You're right. It's actually $288,000.
288. Okay, great. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester?
And I would just like to clarify too, because I spoke with Director Ibanez, we are also going to be paying off the previous bond early, correct? That the city had.
Yes.
So we'll be saving some money there as well.
We will be saving approximately $934,000 over the lifetime of that bond, which is a net present value of $382,000 by taking advantage of that opportunity.
Yes, good. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, the public hearing is open. I'll now defer to the city clerk for public comments.
Thank you. We've received no written comments nor speaker cards.
Thank you. Before closing the public hearing, do any council member have any further questions of staff? Seeing none, I will now close the public hearing, and we will move on to deliberations. Mayor Pro Tem, you're on the Finance Committee, is that right?
That's correct, but I haven't had a meeting yet, but I'm happy to go first anyway, because I did meet with Director Ibanez, and he
Okay,
sort of
is anybody here
clarified
on the Finance Committee? Councilmember Lopez is. And were you on it last year? Okay, so why don't you go first, if you don't mind, since,
Okay.
do you have anything to add to the presentation, or?
Yes, it was myself and Councilmember Wolf before we switched it around. So he was on in on these discussions. And the only thing I would add is that we met a few times and talked a lot about trying to predict interest rates and really doing the best thing for the city on that front. And of course, there's no magic crystal ball, but I want to thank Mr. Ibanez for always kind of looking at the least risky options for us. And in the end, interest rates really kind of went our way. They went in our favor, and we're able to do a lot of good things with this decision, like paying off things early and not having to spend too much money out of our own general fund. So I just would want to thank the finance team for their work, because a lot of work goes into working with the many different options that are available to us before coming to the council with a final recommendation. There's a lot of options out there, and they did a good job in presenting it all to us.
Thank you very much. And can you make a finding of significant public benefit in connection with the sale and the issuance of the bonds?
I can.
Great, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester?
Thank you. Yes, I second what Councilmember Klein-Lopez said. I can make the findings. I think it's wonderful that we can go ahead with this linear green belt.
Greenway.
We will call Greenway, we will call it, and that we're also able to pay off the earlier bonds at a better rate for the city. So I'm all in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Anstead?
I also am in favor and can make the findings. I think it has significant public benefit in the fact that it's creating a new park. It costs $17 million, and we end up only having to spend approximately $300,000 once we get all the grants paid for. And I think it's good use of the funds, and so I can make the finding. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ibanez had to spend time with me to explain this whole thing, but now I understand it. And I think it's really a creative and smart way to be financing the Greenway project so that we can get it done. And once it's done, we'll be able to pay this off. So I support it 100%. And let's see, if I can have a motion and a second, if you state your names, to the staff recommendation is to adopt resolution number 24-2056.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester so moves.
I'll second. This is Deborah Klein-Lopez.
Thank you. Defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Anstead?
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester?
Aye.
Mayor Buckley Weber?
Aye.
Mayor Buckley Weber, you have approval, 4-0.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to convene the Agoura Hills Improvement Authority meeting. Let's see, I'm going to call to order the Agoura Hills Improvement Authority meeting of February 14th, 2024, and I will defer to the authority secretary for the roll call vote, for a roll call.
Commissioner Anstead?
Here?
Commissioner Lopez?
Here.
Commissioner Wolf? Vice President Sylvester?
Here.
President Buckley Weber?
Here.
President Buckley Weber, you have a quorum with Commissioner Wolf absent.
Thank you very much. I now need someone to make a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
Go ahead. You can go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda. This is Deborah Klein-Lopez.
This is Councilmember Chris Anstead. I'll second.
And I'll defer to the secretary for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Anstead?
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Vice President Sylvester?
Aye.
President Buckley Weber?
Aye, I like the sound of that. President.
President Buckley Weber, you have approval, 4-0.
Thank you. Okay, so now we are going to, this next section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items not listed on the agenda that are under the subject matter jurisdiction of the Improvement Authority. I'll now defer to the secretary.
Thank you. We have not received any written public comments nor speaker cards.
Okay, we'll move on to the Improvement Authority consent calendar. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items on the consent calendar. I will now defer to the secretary.
Thank you. We have not received any written public comments or speaker cards.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the authority on the consent calendar? Okay. I will now call for a motion and a second to adopt the consent calendar, which is to approve the minutes of our last meeting of January 22nd, 2020.
Vice President Sylvester so moves.
Commissioner Lopez seconds.
Thank you. And now I will defer to the secretary for a roll call.
Commissioner Anstead,
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez,
Aye.
Vice President Sylvester,
Aye.
President Buckley Weber.
Aye.
President Buckley Weber, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you. Our next item is a discussion to consider the adoption of resolution number IA-24-06, acknowledging a finding of significant public benefit in connection with the issuance of Agoura Hills Improvement Authority lease revenue bonds, Series 2024A, and Agoura Hills Improvement Authority lease revenue refunding bonds, Series 2024B, authorizing the sale, issuance, and delivery of said 2024 bonds, approving as to form and authorizing the execution and delivery of certain documents in connection therewith, and authorizing certain other matters relating thereto. I will now defer to Director of Finance, Diego Ibanez.
Good evening, Honorable President Buckley Weber and members of the Agoura Hills Improvement Authority. Tonight, staff will be recommending that the Agoura Hills Improvement Authority adopt resolution number IA-24-06, approving the issuance of lease revenue bonds Series 2024A to help finance the Ladyface Greenway project, and Series 2024B to refund the authority's $2.9 million in outstanding Series 2013 lease revenue bonds for savings-related legal documents, bond official statement, and other actions. The Ladyface Greenway project has an overall estimated cost of $17.6 million. Grant funds from the state, Measure R and Measure M, will be used to reimburse the city in funding this project. The city will use the $12 million in bond funds together with grant funds to finance the entire project. Once all the grant funds come in, we expect to pay off the bonds in early 2029. The debt structure is expected to avoid any unplanned uses of the city's general fund reserves, allowing what is currently held to earn interest. If approved, the city will incur approximately $12 million of new debt, not including the refunding, that will need to be amended into the debt schedule of the adopted fiscal year 2023-2024 and fiscal year 2024-2025 city budgets. The first payment is $121,265. The expected interest rate is under 4%. Overall, the city received and maintained its AAA city credit rating, and the bonds are rated AA+ from Standard & Poor. The city will receive $12 million in bond monies. The bonds are due to be sold next week and close later in March. The staff report indicates the overall cost of the city in issuing the bonds to be $311,382, but as we near the completion of the deal, the final cost looks to be $288,000, $23,000 less. And based on the refunding, the city is expecting a gross savings of $934,855. This conducts staff's presentation, and staff and the finance and team are available to answer any questions.
Thank you very much again. Before we move on to public comment, does any commissioner have any questions of staff? Seeing no questions, this section is reserved for public comment. I will now defer to the secretary.
Thank you. We do not have any written public comments nor speaker cards.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We will now move on to deliberations. We actually, since the item is the same as the previous one, or extremely similar, we don't need to deliberate unless somebody wants to. We're happy to do that if any council member wants to. Okay, well then I would need a motion and a second to adopt resolution number IA-24-06.
This is Commissioner Anstead. I will make a motion to adopt resolution number IA-24-06.
Do I have a second?
Deborah Klein Lopez, I'll second.
Thank you. And now we will defer to the secretary for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Anstead,
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez,
Aye.
Vice President Sylvester,
Aye.
President Buckley Weber.
Aye.
President Buckley Weber, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you very much. There being no further business, I will now adjourn the Improvement Authority meeting and reconvene the City Council meeting. Welcome back, everybody. Council staff comments. Are there any comments from staff tonight? Nothing? You're all so quiet. Well, happy Valentine's Day to all of you. Are there any comments from the City Council? Mayor Pro Tem?
I would just like to follow through on what you said. I'd like to thank our city manager and our staff for the excellent work you did with that downpour of rain that descended on us. 12 inches is a lot of rain in a very short period of time, and I think your crews did an excellent job. And just wishing you all happy Valentine's Day. Thank you.
Any other comments? Well, I would just like to add to our communications people that I saw a very important social media blast today about I Love Agoura Hills, and that we're a very loving and accepting community, so I really like that blast. So thank you for that. And if there's nothing else, the next regular City Council meeting is scheduled for 6 p.m. on Wednesday, February 28th, 2024, in the Council Chambers of the Civic Center, located at 30001 Ladyface Court, Oakland Hills, California. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all.